to Broadway. Oh, sorry. Hi. Welcome to Broadway Update. I'm Peter Morris, and I forgot to remove my mask. Fortunately, I won't have to go through this for much longer, since the president is about to open up the country and send us all back to work. Although the mayor of New York just announced that the schools are closed for the rest of the year, so I guess I'm not going anywhere. Oh well, let's talk theater. I'm an alumnus of the BMI Musical Theater Workshop, which, as many of you know, has produced many famous musicals, just none of them mine. I'd like to take a moment, though, to tell you about one musical that really should be on that list. Justin Whitcock and Emilio Lefkowitz met at the workshop in the early 1980s and began developing their musical adaptation of Cousin Bet by Honoré de Balzac. The reaction to their material by their fellow songwriters was overwhelmingly positive. They eventually found the producer, who mounted a workshop of the show. The invited audience rose to its feet and cheered at the end of the staged reading, and word of the show quickly spread through town. It was announced that Glenn Close would play the role of the embittered French spinster, but she left the production before rehearsals began to accept a role in a little movie called The Big Chill. The producers then turned to an established box office draw. Although the authors were skeptical that she was right for the role, they decided to give it a try, and Liza Minnelli was signed to play Bet. She didn't stay with the production for long, and here's why.
I'll tell you, Peter. I thought I'd be playing Betty Davis, and I knew after a matter of time no one ever wanted to see me play French again.
With two stars exiting the production, investors became skittish. Enter Alan Carr, who had just scored a huge success with La Cage aux Folles. He had a new and exciting concept for the show. Although the authors were skeptical, they decided to give it a try, and Harvey Fierstein was signed to play Bet. He didn't last long either.
I thought I'd be playing Betty Davis.
Alan Carr let his option lapse, and the show eventually fell into obscurity. Justin Whitcock would die tragically in a freak accident involving a clarinet and a jar of Vaseline. Emilio Lefkowitz has spent the last 35 years developing a musical about Betty Davis. I can't tell you what a tremendous response I got from the episode about my uncle, Tchotchke Posner. In fact, I've got somebody on the line right now who actually worked with him. Thank you for calling, Bernadette. What can you tell me about my uncle?
I loved Tchotchke Posner. He was just so unprofessional. When we were in Boston, he gave me a wedgie on stage.
That's terrible.
It hurt my tushy.
Well, thank you for calling.
My pleasure.
Bernadette Peters was right. My uncle was unprofessional. He used to tell me tales of his antics, thinking that I'd find them amusing, but as an aspiring theater professional, I was horrified. I told you how he used to moon actors during performances of Damn Yankees. That isn't even the half of it. When Tchotchke got back from the war, he became romantically involved with a singer. Only she didn't know it. Her name was Marion Bell, and she and Tchotchke were friends, and only friends as far as she was concerned. But when she got cast in Brigadoon and began talking about the handsome, charming Jew who had written it, Tchotchke became jealous. Here's Tchotchke picking up Marion after a rehearsal with Lerner and Lowe. He doesn't look happy to be there. When Marion married Lerner, Tchotchke was convinced he'd stolen her away from him, so he exacted a 20-year revenge against him. Tchotchke would disguise himself as a stagehand and sneak backstage at Lerner shows. Then he would pop up at climactic moments. Here he is ruining Brigadoon. Here he is ruining My Fair Lady. Here he is ruining Camelot. Here he is trying to ruin Coco, but he's too late. After that, Lerner vowed that Tchotchke would never ruin another one of his hits, But by that time, Lerner had stopped having hits, so it was pretty much an empty threat. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but at the turn of the century, my friend Alan Newman got me a gig on the TV special My Favorite Broadway, The Love Songs, which starred Julie Andrews. So I called Julie and asked her if she had anything to say on the matter.
Oh, Peter, your Uncle Tchotchke was such a scamp. When he popped up at the end of My Fair Lady, Rex was livid. And when he did it again in Camelot, Richard Burton beat the crap out of him.
The president is reopening the country with a big bang on May 1st, so the theaters will be bustling again before you know it. Let's take a look at what audiences have to look forward to. Ebola by Jez Butterworth, a searing look at the British family dynamic set against an Ebola virus outbreak in London. Very topical. The End is Near by Adam Rapp, a searing look at the American family dynamic set against the coronavirus outbreak in New York City. That was fast. Trumpademic, a searing look at the American socio-political dynamic set against the pandemic of 2020. Okay. I knew there would be some plays inspired by the current situation, but this is getting ridiculous. Audiences need something pleasant and diverting and entertaining. So what can we offer them? More pandemic, please. I now have something very special I'd like to share with you. A Broadway Update exclusive. It's an excerpt from my video chat with Stephen Sondheim. Thank you for returning my call, Mr. Sondheim.
No problem, seeing as you're a friend of John Kander. And please call me Steve.
Okay, Steve.
What can I do for you?
Oh, nothing. I just wanted to talk.
Talk about what?
About how much I love you, how I've always loved you. From the first moment I heard You Gotta Have a Gimmick, I knew that we were soulmates and that one day we would be destined to be together. Do you like lasagna? Actually, that's the entire clip. Anyway, this wraps up another episode of Broadway Update. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. It's what keeps me sane during the pandemic. So until we meet again, please stay safe and stay healthy.